Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
yes, and today we already did a podcast for the week, but today we're going to talk about some bigger news that came out that just can't wait till next week, which is
hmm
PlayStation had a state of play for June 2022. They announced a bunch of different things, some big stuff. So yeah, let's get down the list. I guess the first thing I would say is I saw a lot of people calling it like the best state of play ever.
I don't know about that. I mean, it was a pretty
Yeah,
good one, but
it was pretty good, but it wasn't. I guess maybe for me when it's like remakes and remasters, those are good news. But I guess like it's not the same as like if you're like announcing Last of Us Part Two and like Ghost of Tsushima, Part Two, or you know what I mean, like
yeah.
those type of
Also,
things.
I got nothing against VR. I love VR. You and I both. We both love VR, but it's one of those things where like I don't understand how it could be the best state of play ever if half the titles are VR titles, you know? And
Well, and
and for
also
for a
the
system that's not even out yet, you
yes, the
know?
system's not even out yet. So let's start with the biggest news was that Final Fantasy XVI. They had a new trailer, and they also have the official release window, which is summer 2023. Obviously you're a big Final Fantasy fan. I'm
Oh
not
hell yeah.
quite as familiar with the story and the game itself. So, what can you tell us about this latest trailer and what's to be expected for next summer?
So, first of all, from what I can take from this, and there's still actually not that much known about the game itself, though you can take a lot away from what we saw, right? Because yes, there were a lot of cutscenes, but there were a lot of in-game combat and things like that. It seems like there's a big emphasis on boss fights. I don't know. Keep in mind this game has been in development before Elden Ring came out, so I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that was an influence. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a decision they had already made, but then with the success of Elden Ring, I'm sure they were like, "Thank God we made the right choice."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems like there's a very big emphasis on boss fights. Which look, Final Fantasy has always had boss fights. It's always had big boss fights, but never on like a. I mean, okay, well, Final Fantasy 15 had some boss fights that were on like an epic scale, but it seems like they went more in that direction where they're like instead of having one or two big fights a game, what if we just gave you a bunch of really big epic fights, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Also, what I like about this when they originally announced it is I like the theme of it. It seems more dark fantasy related, whereas
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy's always been fantasy related. Sometimes like sci-fi fantasy, sometimes like really like out there fantasy that I can't even find a genre like tropical fantasy. I don't know, they're out there sometimes, man. But this is like a very dark, gritty Final Fantasy. When the video that they showed us first a while ago, I think it was a year or two ago already, there was like a fair amount of blood in it, and that was like more so than I've ever seen in a Final Fantasy game, you know? So it seemed like a more of a heavy kind of Final Fantasy game. Could be wrong about that. The combat, I do like what I'm seeing about the combat. I don't really like all the numbers and like all those other things flying up on the screen. I don't mind them on an
It's
MMO
classic.
because those are like
Yeah,
yeah,
classic.
like you like in an MMO you need them, and it does look like they drew a lot of inspiration from Final Fantasy 14, their incredibly popular MMO.
Mm-hmm.
But like you need that stats in an MMO. But in a game like this, like I don't need to see how much I'm hitting the guy for. I can see his health bar go down. I don't need to know each individual hits. Like it just seems like there's a lot of like things flashing around on the screen when it's like it's a dark fantasy, man. I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing a dark fantasy game. I don't want to see numbers like digital numbers popping up in the middle of anyways. It's a small gripe. It's a very small gripe
Mm-hmm.
because everything else does look great. Um, the story's gonna clap because the stories are always good. Like
Mm-hmm.
even like sometimes there have been some dry stories, but there have never been bad Final Fantasy stories in my opinion. They've always had very epic stories. I'm looking forward to that as well. And yeah, combat does look fun. Looks like there's like a whole bunch of different weapons and things you can use. Uh, still, yeah, I don't know. I don't particularly know how I feel about the combat as of yet. Like I said, it does look the big epic boss fights look good, but like the normal like your basic average combat that you're gonna be doing like 90% and that kind of stuff looked a little. It's not that it looked flashy. It just seemed like there wasn't much skill to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It, like and hopefully that they do add like a level of skill to it because when they moved into the like active combat in Final Fantasy 15, because before that it was always turn based. You know.
Yeah.
So moving from turn-based to active, it was a weird switch. I liked it, but it wasn't really super active. So it seems like they're trying to get more into that active type of combat. But I just don't want it to feel too button mashy, and I hope it's not like, well, not even button mashy, but I hope it's not like you're just like clicking two buttons and then a bunch of really cool flashy moves happen. You know what I mean? Like I want to feel like I earn that combo or that cool thing that happens. You know. But yeah, overall, I'm hyped, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like for me, it was a pretty average state of play until I saw this. When the director showed up, I knew. Also, we had speculated that they were saving the trailer for this because we knew a while ago that the trailer was ready. They said, hey, we have a trailer ready to go and everything. We're just waiting for the right moment. This was the right moment, clearly. I figured it would have been for a Square Enix event, though, but they do have very close ties to PlayStation. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I know we're talking about Final Fantasy now, but the other thing that excited me most about State of Play was Spider-Man coming to PC. And like end of this year, man, soon.
Yeah.
Well, soon-ish.
Spider-Man
I'm happy about
remastered
that.
for PC.
Remastered, yeah. And it's like I've played the game before, but I actually wanted, like, if I had a PS5, I would have gotten the remaster that came with Miles Morales just to play it again because that's how much I enjoyed that game. But now I don't have to. Now I can play it on my PC at the end of this year. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh, that's nice as a PC player. Unfortunately, though, like I said, because here's the thing with this Final Fantasy 16 game, and I do have very biased opinions about Final Fantasy because of how near and dear it is to my heart. Even if it's a subpar game, I have to own it and play it. Like me as an individual, I have to. So the thing that made me sad about this was that I realized that I now have to get a PS5.
Yeah, well,
Not
you do
now.
have
I
some.
mean,
You
not
do have some
anytime
time.
soon. I got time. But
Summer
it's
2023.
it's going to take me some time to put like money aside for that, anyways, because there's various things I'm saving up for.
It's a year away, and supposedly
the USA.
And supposedly they're gonna have they're gonna ramp up production for PS5s. I think they just crossed the 20 million units sold mark. So and they could have sold more. They just didn't have enough on hand, and they said they're gonna ramp up production. So yeah, I think by that time they will be available if you got the cash. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Spider-Man remaster because I have been. I did play a few hours of the first game non-remastered on the PS4. Now I'm just thinking August isn't that far away. Maybe I wait until that comes out and I'll just play it.
You got plenty to play until then, so I think you should do that. Yeah, definitely. You got Horizon. You got 2 Horizon games.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing though I am worried about is what's the cost, because I only paid like I don't know $15 for my Spider-Man.
I think it's gonna be $50 or $60. $60. It's. I know it's hefty, but you got to keep in mind that it is, like, even though it's a remaster, it's the first version on PC. It's not like people could have bought the previous version. Like this is their initial release for PC. You know?
I guess so it does make sense. I'm just bummed because like I bought the game on PS4. Yeah. So
it's still great. Like it still looks great. You know.
No, I just don't know if I want to pay $60 for it though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely will be, but only because for me, I just want that FPS burst. Like I would pay $60 for an FPS burst. Also, I'm gonna buy the game because it means that if it sells well, they'll also release Miles Morales.
Well, they are releasing. That's the other part of the news is they are releasing Miles Morales.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah, it's gonna be in 2023 though. So
hell yeah, though. At least the fact that it's on its way makes me happy. You know.
Yeah. So Spider-Man Spider-Man remastered of the first game is coming out in August of this year. They don't have a exact date of when for Miles Morales, but it will be 2023. So, I did pay $20 for that. Yeah. I mean, and that was only I think last year that I bought Spider-Man. I was like, that game's been out. Been out for a while.
Yeah, going back to Final Fantasy real quick. I actually do have a fair amount of information regarding the lore, but it's written out like it's gonna be like written out in the game. So it's like reading an item description in Elden Ring. It's so vague. It's not even worth bringing up. It tells you what you're on the search for and it gives you the name of it, but it's like without any context, we don't know what that means or what it is. But I will say what I'm happy about, and I could be wrong about this Final Fantasy. I don't know about the earlier games because they were pixelated, but like ever since they moved to 3D, or images where you can see actual faces. So like maybe 8 and up. Whoa. 7 even. I don't know. The point is the main character has always been some like super like smooth skinned pretty boy,
Yes.
angsty teenager. And with this main character, they're like, no. We're gonna give him a beard. We're gonna make him look a bit more edgy, you know? Give him a scar, give him a goatee, you know. I like that. They like for the first time they're like, let's not make our protagonist look like a 14-year-old soft kid, rich kid who's never touched anything before, you know. That was always a complaint back in the days, is that Final Fantasy protagonists were always just a little like too edgy. Yeah. So I like it. I like the fact that they went with something a bit more gritty.
So
And the story, from what I can tell, looks very interesting.
The other big announcement was Resident Evil 4 remake was officially announced. We kind of knew it was coming. They already had done.
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to look that good, though, to be honest. It looked really good. Like,
well,
I was
remember,
pretty put away by that.
The second one got kind of rave reviews when it came out, the remake, and then the third one kind of did not. It got kind of, not that it was bad, but it didn't. I guess a lot of people weren't as happy with it as they were with the second one. So now you have the fourth one coming out, which is interesting because they already had 4 not remade, but turned into VR for the Oculus Quest.
Yeah.
And so now they're making like a full-on non-VR version with all the bells and whistles.
And there will also be some VR content in the future with Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to be doing the remake in VR as well, but we know that there's some type of, they are working on VR content for Resident Evil 4, whether it's a full-on VR mode or just some side quests, who knows. Probably the whole game, I'd imagine. Otherwise, what's the point of even getting into the development?
Yeah, and also
it'll work well. It looks good.
Also, remember, Sony is pushing hard on this PSVR2, as noted by some of the releases. Resident Evil Village is going to get a VR version.
That game would actually be kick ass in VR. Like, I was gonna say, out of all the VR announcements on this State of Play, this was the thing that I think is the coolest. Is and people are gonna be right there, ready to put their VR goggles on and look at that 7'4" lady in the eyes, and they're gonna fall in love all over again in virtual reality. Man, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. That's probably the main reason why they're making it in VR.
Look, man, I'll tell you, when Darth Vader walks up to you in
Vader Immortal,
the first time, and you're not a tall person, like the game has your height, dude. He's big. He's a big man, and it's pretty intimidating. Like when he walked up to me in VR, I felt that presence. So I can only imagine Lady Dimitrescu walking up to you in VR, like the presence you're gonna feel. Yeah, we had Street Fighter 6, which looked really pretty. I'll be honest. Here's what I will say, and a friend of mine brought it up too, which is that fighting games don't exactly take up the most RAM. It's not like the most resource heavy.
Yeah, you're limited in your environment.
Yeah, so why not do ray tracing, or which was a good point to bring up, and I think it could have to do with, well, mainly obviously they want to sell it on older systems as well. That's a no-brainer. Maybe even make it arcade compatible in the future if they ever get the chance to open up more again, because Street Fighter relied heavily on arcades in Asia. Street Fighter 5 and 4. It looks good. It seems like there's some kind of open world aspect to this, which I like. I think it's like maybe you create your own fighter, because there was like a whole open world aspect to it where you're walking around, and then the fighting is just plain old Street Fighter. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Love that. I love it when I see people like try new things, but keep the things they know that works, and like they're not changing the combat. That's been working for decades. But let's like add a story or an open world, or add some more like add some more functions to it, which I like. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, it's coming in 2023. And this is not a PlayStation exclusive. This will be also on PC and Xbox Series X and S. So, but
to be fair, to be fair, it's been a while since Street Fighter 5. Like I didn't realize it until I thought about it, but I was like, wow, it's actually been a long time since Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. Now this next announcement is actually, at least for me, more exciting. This VR one is the Horizon Call of the Mountain. I just like that it's a totally original game. I mean,
It's a
obviously
game, Dennis. That's the part that blew me away. I thought it was going to be an experience. You
Mhm.
know, you put the headset on, you sit on a little canoe, you go through the lake, and then I realized that this is a game, dude.
Yeah.
This is not an experience. This is not a little you could put the goggles on, enjoy your little 20-minute trip. No, this is a
No.
full-on game.
Full on game.
Which
I mean, it's not going to be as
yeah.
big as the original games, but I'm sure it's going to be at least like
Oh,
you know,
it
a
looked fun, though. It looked
five
really
hour,
fun.
6 hour type of journey, maybe.
This is way more than I was expecting when they announced it. My mind was blown when I saw this. Like genuinely, I was like, "Holy crap, this is not what I was expecting." You know,
Well,
it looked fun more than anything. Besides the fact that it looks good, it looked fun. I was like, "Yeah, dude,
this
I
could
want to
be
climb things and shoot things."
this could be a system seller for not just PSVR2 but PS5 in general, because
Mm.
you cannot play this on anything else. I do expect them to eventually port this to a PC VR
Oculus
version
or something.
No,
Yeah.
not Oculus, because to
Well,
them that's
well,
a
just a PC, which
to
then
PC,
you
yes.
can access through an Oculus or whatever
yes,
or anything.
but
yeah.
I would imagine it would probably be like 1 or 2 years after it comes out on PSVR2. But you could
Oh,
sell
yeah.
some systems with this because it's exclusive. It looks fantastic. The gameplay looks cool. You know, we'll see when we actually get a chance to play it. But this definitely is a good system seller for the PSVR2 and PS5 because you can't get that experience anywhere else.
And I still do think that the PSVR 2 itself is a no-brainer if you already have a PS5. You know what I mean? It by no like look, the Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset considering what it can do. But if you're like but then again, like your Oculus Quest 2 is superior once you have it hooked up to a PC, you know? And that's what I think this PSVR 2 is going to flourish, is that if you want to get into VR and you have a PS5, I think this is a no-brainer because it seems like you're getting great
I
quality.
guess it depends because we haven't heard the cost yet for PSVR 2. I'm guessing anywhere between $300 to $400.
It cannot be more than the previous one. If it's more than the previous one, then they've made a dumb decision.
What was
And
the previous one? 300?
I think
400?
I think there was like the bundle was like 500 or something. I could be wrong. Like initially, the initial like bundle was really expensive, and then a year later they brought it down. But it was too pricey initially. But keep in mind, at that time, it was the only it was the cheapest headset at the time, which is still. Let me Google that. I'm real curious quickly.
I assume you cannot go over 400 on this thing. I think you've got to keep it.
Dude, yeah. I mean,
Because also remember,
yeah.
there's no computing power in the headset. The headset is using
so
the
the
PS5.
original sold for $400, yeah, and that's including everything, like that's the full bundle
Controllers.
that you needed, controllers, the camera, everything, yeah.
Yeah, but this one doesn't need the camera,
yeah.
so
Exactly, it doesn't need the camera. It comes with new controllers, so it doesn't come with the controller separate option. I would look if they can hit. Oh, ooh, okay. So sorry, PSVR is it's so weird because some people are saying that the PSVR, the initial launch, some people are saying $400 and some websites are saying $500, and they're all from the same like year. So maybe it was like a last minute price change. But I was gonna say I remember the $500 price tag, and I was like,
Might have been
is pricey, you know. That was price. I mean, I was like, it costs more than a PS4 that you're running it on at the time, which is crazy. But yeah, look, I think people would be more than happy to pay. I don't know, $400 is a lot, man.
$400
would be that sweet spot, you know?
yes, 300 is like
that
where
would
you
be
can
a
sell a lot.
sweet spot, yeah.
Like I said, remember it's not processing anything. All the processing going on your PS5. It's just
Exactly, yeah.
It's taking in the video and showing you that, and obviously that those parts are expensive, but you're not actually doing the processing there. So yeah, 400 max, I would guess.
Yeah. Overall, it is looking like a pretty solid option for a headset, even though it is wired, which is unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. I figured that they would have had the option to do like a link cable or something, or at least have a cable where like in the future you can remove the cable and we have like a really good Wi-Fi patch or something to stream, you know?
Yeah.
But it seems like they're quite fixed on this hard cable thing, at least for this model.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also got some news for Horizon Forbidden West getting a New Game Plus mode. Which for anybody who plays a game and that enjoys it, that's always nice to get a New Game Plus mode.
And it's
we're
free.
blessed to have, we're blessed to have about 8 or 9 in Elden Ring. You can have a whole, you can have New Game Plus 8. You can New Game Plus the crap out of that game. Anyways, looks good though. Looks great. The next game that launched, I'm really stoked for.
The Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, I hate anybody who knows me knows I can't do horror movies. I can do horror games. I cannot do horror movies. Like, scare the crap out of me. Even if it's like a bad horror movie, it still scares the crap out of me. But dude, I can play this. And isn't this technically like the spiritual successor to Dead Space?
I don't remember, but it definitely has a Dead Space feel to it.
It has a heavy Dead Space feel, yeah.
Because
I know that they are working on a remake for Dead Space, but I think that this could have been phrased as the spiritual successor. I could be wrong. It's heavily influenced by Dead Space, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like how Back 4 Blood was Left 4 Dead's spiritual successor. But it's coming on December 2nd, 2022 this year, and it looks pretty good. It's a sci-fi action horror. So yeah, it looks very scary. And the graphics look great. So is this a it's from the creator of Dead Space.
That's okay. So it is technically a spiritual successor.
Yeah. Glenn Schofield. This
also,
is
I don't think this is exclusive. I'm pretty sure this will be on all platforms.
I
could be wrong about that, though.
I would think so, but let me see. Yeah, it's all platforms. But yeah, I figure if it's a third party. All right. Stray. That game where you play as a stray cat jumping around. It's got a release date, which is actually not that far away. It's July 19th, 2022. So a little over a month away. Yeah. And also it's going to be free for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium members. So if you are subscribed to their Game Pass, PlayStation's Game Pass, you will get this game for free, which makes kind of sense in a way because this game is not a AAA title. So them putting it on there I don't think they're going to lose a ton of money. And you'll get maybe more word of mouth and buzz if you really believe this game's pretty good. I mean, it looks cool. The only concern I have, I love cats. The only concern I have is the gameplay going to be repetitive, or are they going to have enough variety in there?
I think we saw all the gameplay, Dennis. Like, let's be honest. Like, what we saw, like, I liked what I saw. I also love cats. Like, my neighbor's cats visit me every single day. Sometimes they sit right next to me, right over here on this little bean bag. And I don't know the cat's names. I don't feed him. I don't give him food or water, but they come here every day just because they want attention. I love cats, man. Love them. And I'll be honest, for the longest time with this game, I had no idea what it's about. And I still, watching this video, don't know what the hell it's about. But I'm more interested than ever because the world that they're building is it seems interesting. And it seems like it's going to be one of those explorative games. There's not going to be any combat mechanics. I think it's one of those games where you're going to walk around and you're going to be visually told a story through your surroundings, Much like a Journey, if you ever got to play Journey,
I did not, but I heard great things about it, so.
Yeah, it seems like that, where it's like... the narrative is within the surroundings, And also, like I've got questions, so many questions and no answers. But like, this cat is the only organic life form you see at all. Like, there's zero other organic life forms.
It takes place
either a robot or a drone or.
Yeah, it's like a cyberpunk type environment with robots. Like the
but then again, are you an organic cat? Because you see his eyes do that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Where it was like he's uploading or something. So maybe it's just like maybe the cat's also a robot. Maybe. Who knows?
Let's see.
My buddy who was watching this with me had a hot take where he thinks that it's inhabited by the mind of a human. Which, off of no context, he's just putting a wild gamble down. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I don't think it's that, but yeah. It seems, very story-based, or like that, like, going to be... it's going to be interesting. And it's going to be one of those games that, like you said, it's going to do really well when it goes free. Because everybody's going to be like, hey, I just played this game, it's free on PlayStation Extra and Premium. and you get to be a cat and walk around and discover all these cool things about this world. You know, that's for a lot of people. That's easy to bring them in. It's also great for casual gamers, people who aren't used to playing like super hardcore games. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I won't be able to play it, but when I get a PS5, I will.
Is it PS5 exclusive? I wonder if it's.
I'm assuming if they're able to add it to their
No, PS4.
PS Plus.
PS4.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's Sony exclusive. My PS4 is. I don't have the heart to take it away from my nephew. He uses it for Fortnite. And I just you can't take Fortnite away from a child. And it's like it's the worst thing you could do.
All right, another PSVR2 game. It's an existing game, but No Man's Sky is coming to PSVR2.
I have doubts about this, dude.
What do you mean?
Because it looked really good, and granted, a PS5 is probably stronger than the PC you and I have.
Yes.
But I tried, because right now you and I can both play No Man's Sky VR using an Oculus Quest. Using Airlink and then running it on your PC. I tried running the game like even on its lowest settings on my PC, and it was lagging like really bad. Yeah, it is a very heavy game to run in VR. So if what they showed us was real, and like that's gonna look like that's what it's gonna look like on the PSVR 2, then I'm super freaking impressed. And to be honest, I guess like my graphics card is technically an older generation compared to a PS5. The PS5 is technically the RTX like 3070, 3080 around there, you know, and we're on a 2060. So I guess it will be like double the power, so it makes sense. But yeah, I was more surprised by how good that game looked for PSVR 2. From what I've been told from friends who are able to play it in VR, apparently the game is it's one of those games where it's more fun in VR, like Superhot. Superhot came out years before VR was a thing. You know what I mean? And you could play Superhot on your PC. That's how I played it for the first time. But you play Superhot in VR, and it is a whole ass new thing. It's a whole new goddamn game, whole different experience. And I think it's the same with No Man's Sky. It's way more like I find the game casual and beautiful. I put on some David Bowie and just fly through space and chill. But like in VR, you're gonna get fully immersed into that space. You know, I think that's cool. And also, you got to keep in mind as well, I believe most PlayStation users have No Man's Sky because it was available for free for a long time. And even now, it's like
it's on Game Pass. I remember.
It's still on Game Pass right now as well if anybody wants to play it out. But yeah, so No Man's Sky has a lot of users. So when the VR version comes out, people can just run it, you know? I don't think it's going to be a separate sold version. I'm pretty sure, much like the PC version of the game, I'm pretty sure it'll just be an option where you don't have to buy the game again. You can just play the VR version of the game. I'd be really upset if they released a VR standalone version for the game and then sold it. Especially when they gave PC people the free version. If you own the game,
they also
VR for free.
said there's a version already available for the PSVR 1. So
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. But yeah.
But I don't know. Cool. I kind of believe the graphics. The graphics so far that I've seen from the PSVR 2 have been very impressive. They look like high-end PC VR graphics.
True. It's almost at the index level, you know.
Yeah. So it's definitely
this next game was also very interesting. And it's funny that we saw it at a State of Play because I figured I would have seen it at like a Nintendo Direct or something.
Own the Batman now.
Which is Season, a letter to the future. Yeah, and I do love these kinds of games where it's like the art style's unique. Well, I mean, it would have been unique before Breath of the Wild, but you know what I mean. A lot of games have this kind of art style right now. It still looks really good though. And it looks very casual. It seems I don't know much about the game, but it seems like you're investigating something, or like trying to figure out what happened, or like what is happening in this little village with these people. But the characters look unique, and it just has a lot of uniqueness to it and a lot of quirkiness to it. And it seems like something I'd like to play. You know, it seems very calming and relaxing as well.
Yeah, it's got that cell shaded look. It's like a 2D/3D animated.
It's like somewhere between that stable game and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
it's like somewhere in between there. Yeah.
So
I feel like you must have been excited about this next piece of news.
Yeah, I mean,
I was excited for a lot of other people because I know people have been waiting a long time for this.
so The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution is coming to PSVR 2. It's coming to the PSVR, the original one, in the end of this year, but the PSVR 2 version will come out in 2023. The first game, Chapter 1, is probably one of the better VR games you can play.
Great VR game. Yeah.
I have it on the Quest and on PC VR, and it's like one of the games that I feel like maybe not a AAA title, but at least a AA title, where it's like there's a good amount of resources put into it, and the scope of the game is pretty big. So seeing that the second one is going to be on.
And it looks
PSVR
really
2.
good, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like the PSVR 2
really
is filling kind of this. If you don't have a PC, a high-end PC, and you don't have a VR headset, then the PSVR 2 is kind of like the perfect thing to get, you know, if you're interested in VR, because it's going to have high-end graphics. You don't need a PC, and you know it's just running off your PS5. So I feel like
also like this is the thing that's always been the most appealing for me of the PSVR headset, even the initial one, and it's the one thing that I think that even the old PSVR, well, can't really call it old until the new one comes out, but you know what I mean. Even that headset has one defining feature over the Quest, and that is field of view. It just kind of like it has that slight wrap around your head, which I like. Also, it has the circlet design, but you can buy. That's the first thing I did for my Quest is I bought the crown adapter so that it's. I don't know if you got that as well. It's so much more comfortable. Do yourself a favor. It is hands down the best attachment you can get for your Quest. It just makes it so much comfortable, so that it feels like it's like hovering in front of your face. There's no pressure on your face whatsoever. It just like sits there perfectly. Also, it came with like a nose thing because I was playing a lot of VR titles and a lot of light was shining through like the nasal or like the nose hole. So it came with like a thing that like kind of like rubber bands around your nose, and it like obviously adds to the immersion, so you don't see your feet or something.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. One thing I want to say, in kind of hyping up the PSVR 2, even though I've never played it yet, but I like that Sony, and obviously because it's the PlayStation, that they're focusing on games, because right now I will say the Quest 2 and the Oculus Meta, like their focus has shifted to all this other stuff that is not games related. There has
more metaverse, like office
businessy
kind of related
yes,
stuff,
exactly, and I think it's the wrong move, you know. Right now, like there's kind of like, even though there are some good games out for the Quest 2, there's not as many like as you would expect, and not as many like that people are just all talking about, you know. And I feel like with Sony focusing on the PSVR 2 and actually delivering, whether it's their own first-party games like Call of the Mountain and or getting third-party people to do Resident Evil Village in VR, or getting Walking Dead Chapter 2, and you know what I mean? They're getting the best VR experiences they can to their system, you know, and getting high-end experiences. So I think that's
I agree with you. They're making a much smarter move in that sense. Because look, if you think about it as well, Facebook is they're so invested in the metaverse, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think they jumped the gun on it because they were like, okay, we did the thing. Everyone's got VR now. We did the thing. We're done. Everyone bought the Quest 2 for Christmas. Everybody knows how VR works. We're done. That was like their objective. But if you think about it, when it comes to technology, games has always been the first way to get into people's hands and get people to get used to it. Every single person that I know, their first ever encounter with a computer was through a game. Their first ever encounter through TV was like some kind of video game, or like, you know what I mean? Every single piece of technology I know, most people are introduced to it through some form of game to get them used to the actual product or whatnot. So it doesn't make any sense that like, because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, you know what? The past couple games I've bought for my Quest none of them have been from Facebook, or you know what I mean? Or like they're not exclusives. And most of the time I actually buy VR games off of Steam instead because they're cheaper, and I can still play them using Airlink, you know?
Yeah.
because you can just run Steam VR through your Airlink app, and so dude, literally, like the games on Steam are drastically cheaper than it is on the Oculus Store as well. So yeah, Oculus is slacking, man. I think this is going to be a big thing for, like, once again, the price point's going to play a big toll, but it's going to be a good thing for PlayStation, I think.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see where it goes, and people in the VR community are excited to see them focusing on games, and not only games, but like actual like high-end games.
Yeah, like bigger games too.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, they also did that with the initial PSVR, where they like tried to make like some AAA games for. There was this one game, I forget the name, but it was their attempt at a AAA game, and that's when they realized that the technology wasn't there yet. It was better to make like smaller kind of arcadey games, or more like cartoony graphics and stuff like that. It was this like survival game. It had the word Robinson in it. I forget about it. It was like a survival crafting game, and you're like in the past. I don't know. It was weird, but it didn't do well. Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to PSVR 2. This next game they showed off, I'll be honest, I just couldn't. And you would think that this would be something that I would like, but I just couldn't care less, man. It looked like a cell phone game. It looked like a really high-end cell phone game.
Eternights is a dating action game set in the apocalypse.
Eternights, yeah.
Eternights, whatever. Like, yeah. I don't know how you combine dating and dating action.
Sims. Look, look. You know very well. You've played Mass Effect. we've all romanced a few characters in our life, Dennis. Okay, you bet your ass that I romanced the crap out of Pan Am in Sony 77. All right, I put my heart and soul into those dialogue choices. Okay, but this is just, I don't know. It just seems like the most B tier thing I've ever seen. Like, and I like JRPGs. I like anime style influenced games. Not the biggest fan of dating sims, but I don't hate them either. It's just that they just seems subpar. Like, and it's a good thing to show off, because here's the thing: there's a lot of bad anime action games, like a lot of like super low budget indie. Like, there's a lot of games that look like this that suck, that come out all the time, and they just don't get marketed, so you don't hear about it. But a lot of games like this come out all the time and they suck. So that's my biggest issue with it. I think people are gonna like it, but it's gonna be a very niche, small crowd of people that are gonna like it. Look, dating sim already, like having half the game be a dating sim. Yes, there's combat. It has all those other cool things. That already puts a lot of people off. It's not the first thing people want to play is a dating sim.
Yeah.
Mind you, there are a lot of people out there that love that game, love that genre, but it's a very niche amount of people that do.
This next one. Is a futuristic skater shooter called Rollerdrome. Now, this art style is exactly like Sable's,
and Metro my team,
which is basically kind of a homage / ripoff of Mobius' art style. So this looks kind of cool. Rolling around on rollerblades.
Me and some friends were saying this will be really fun if they like even maybe competitive, I'd say, like, it doesn't seem like the game that shouts competitive, but if it did have a competitive mode, I would play it. Like, I just wonder how long matches are, because it does look like it's fast and quick, but if the matches are like too long or too short, like if they gotta have that, like, I think like 5 minute or 10 minute kind of like gap of like that's how long a match takes, and it's like it's pumped, like adrenaline pumping, and you're liking it. I'm a big fan of Roll 7, the studio that's doing it. The games that they make have always been kind of arcadey, very indie, lower budget kind of games. They stick within what their studio can do. Like it says, they're most well known for Ollie Ollie World, which I haven't played yet. I was a big fan of Ollie Ollie 1 and Ollie Ollie 2. I haven't tried Ollie Ollie World just yet. But this, funny enough, if you do know about Ollie Ollie World and how that game looks and plays, this seems like the next logical jump, You add guns, and instead of a skateboard, you're on rollerblades. That's the next logical jump.
It looks cool. It even has like a Max Payne Matrix, slow motion
the bullet
shooting
time.
Bullet time.
Did you play My Friend Pedro?
Only like a demo at E3.
So the combat reminds me a lot of My Friend Pedro, where it's like you're doing like, not only is it the bullet time, but you're also doing like really unnecessary flips while shooting. It's that like flashy kind of. Yeah, no, I like that, man. That looked really cool. That looked like a lot of fun.
So that's something to keep an eye. I think that is a PlayStation exclusive.
It's Roll 7. They're
see.
a lot. Every game that they've ever released, as far as I know, has
me
been
see.
on PC. I'm pretty sure it's been on all platforms. I know that their
see.
games are on PC. You know.
Let me take a look. I will double check.
I don't think it'll be exclusive, especially if it's multiplayer orientated. They would make more money if it's like.
Well, it's definitely on
cross-platform.
PC. I guess when let me see
Yeah.
here.
I know. I think it will come to PC. Like I said, Roll.
No,
7,
it's
most of
definitely
their
coming
games come
for
to
PC. I'm just wondering, is it coming
Yeah.
to
Xbox?
Xbox?
It could, because I know some of Roll 7's games have been on Game Pass before.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's
that looked
it
like
yeah,
fun, man.
yeah, no Xbox.
Oh, okay.
It is Steam, PS5, PS4.
Well, yeah, and the last thing they showed off here was Tunic, which is coming to PlayStation, which has already been out on PC. It's on Game Pass
And
right
Xbox,
now.
yeah.
If anybody's a fan of the original, like the first couple Legend of Zelda games, I highly recommend you play Tunic. It really gives off that initial Legend of Zelda game. I forget what it's called. Is it A Link to the Past? It's not the first one, but that I think it's a
Second
Link to the
one's
Past.
Link
That's
to the
one that
Past, I
reminds me of
think.
the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the one that reminds me of the most, gameplay-wise. Really fun, really cute.
So yeah, that's coming out in September 27th. So I guess there was like kind of an exclusive window for Tunic on Xbox and PC.
Game Pass.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, and so it's coming on PlayStation September 27th.
It is quite interesting, like that it's coming out so. Yeah, well, I guess it was an exclusive deal with Xbox PC. It was a Game Pass deal. That's what took it so long, I guess. I wonder if that means that Tunic will be leaving Game Pass in September.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think
'cause
so.
I know,
That's a
like, a
perfect.
yeah.
That's a perfect Game Pass game.
It really is. I played the shit out of it. Like, which is if it leaves, I don't mind because like I said, I played the crap out of it. A fun little game, but yeah, that makes sense. So it probably was an Xbox Game Pass deal because it was on Xbox and PC in March. And then
Yeah,
I
it got
suppose,
pretty good reviews all around.
It's short, but it's worth it. You know, short but worth it.
I think that's it. I think that's all.
That
was
is it.
announced at State of Play.
That's all she croaked. Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a pretty good one. I don't know if it was the best ever, but it was a pretty good one. Especially
it wasn't bad by any means. It was it was good.
Yeah.
I was good for obviously I was like, for me, I was just watching it normally, and then when I saw the Final Fantasy 16 news, I actually like stood up. I didn't jump out of my seat, but I stood up and I was like, yes. I was so invested.
Yeah, I think is a sale still going on for the State of Play. They always do the deals around their State of Play, but
yeah, you're right. Actually, I forgot about that. I haven't used the PlayStation in so long.
I don't know if that is still going on. But anyways, I think that's it. So everyone who's watching or listening, thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. Also, we have a podcast, a weekly podcast you can find on anchor.fm or Spotify. You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, dennis.tzng. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on the Revog Discord channel if you guys ever want to talk about games or play some games. And you guys can find me on Twitch at It's Thespis, all lowercase, one word. And yeah, I'll be streaming some Valorant there once I get more people to follow me.
Cool. All right. See you guys later.
Later.